Hey, good day. This is Mr. Benning, and I'm going to go ahead and start with an introduction to biology. This is the first biology lesson, and the first thing we're going to look at is in this quick lesson is that we want to understand what biology is and the possible benefits to life in general. So we want to kind of get a generalization of what biology is and how it's beneficial. So you can do three things. When we get done, you can define biology, identify life, the possible benefits, and you can identify, characterizations of living things. So pause this video for a second. Think of the word biology. What are some of the things you think of? So take a second, pause, and I'm going to write down a few ideas that I think of. Okay, glad you're back. Here's me personally. This is what I think of when I do biology. When I hear the word biology, I think of things like animals. So like we look at animals, plants, cells. You can go into DNA. We can look at the environment. We can also look at, ecology. We can look at wetlands and various other types, deserts. But they all center around, and if we all look at this, it all centers around, living things. So it centers around living things. And so now let's look at biology and kind of define these terms. So we're going to actually define biology, make a definition. You might already know it, but the term bio just means life. And anytime you see that word bio, always has something to do with life. And then the other part is ology, O-L-O-G-Y is the suffix. And that means the study of, and you put the two together, you get biology is the study of life. And that's all biology is just what is biology? The study of life. Everything living. So we look back at our list. All of that has to do with living things. So that all would be under the large umbrella of biology. So we look at our own words. Take a second. What do you think they do? What do you think they study? So take about a minute or two, write down some things you think of, and I'll write down some different things that I think of. Okay, welcome back. And let's look at some things here. So biologists, the first thing that I do that I start to think of is, recently in 2020, we had COVID. Okay? COVID was the major pandemic. What did they make in the first, took 8-9 months afterwards? They made a new vaccine, and they rushed it into production. I won't go into it, but they were able to produce it quickly because they already had a lot of ideas. A lot of vaccines are good. This one I'm kind of iffy about. But anyway, other things that they do is, like, for example, they look at how to keep water clean. I think that biologists look at, like, keeping the environment clean. So we've got a couple of things here that I can generally say, this is stuff they do. So they study, they do research. Some of them try to go out and discover new species. And some people say that there are species out of plants or animals that have not yet been discovered. And most of them probably live within the rainforest. They got people going deep in the rainforest to look for these things. So anyway, first thing that they do, one thing they do is they study the diversity of life, which gets into, the study of the environment, okay, and ecology, which is kind of the same thing. These guys would be like, okay, how the food web. They create food webs for different areas. Make sure there's enough species so that they're an overload. So like sometimes if you have a lot of species of one type, or if you're missing a piece like a predator, or if you're missing a prey, you might have an overabundance of a species or an underabundance of it. So that's some of the things that they do along this thread. Some of the other thing, they research diseases. We talked about COVID, COVID vaccine. Not to mention they did a lot of work with HIV. They can now mitigate that disease now, which has been really within the last 5 to 10 years. They're doing a lot of stuff with cancer. Cancer research is really big now, so we're trying to look at defeating cancer with maybe a pill or something. Be very interesting to look at that. Technologies. One thing that I like to look at is spider silk. There is a certain spider, I forget what the spider is called, but has the strongest thread. And scientists are now trying to recreate in mass. So we can have a lot of this thread, and the thread that these spiders make is stronger than Kevlar and would be amazing. Have amazing thoughts, but right now spiders is the only thing that can produce it, and a spider cannot produce enough thread to even make one of anything. Even if you had 1,000 spiders you might have in their life, they wouldn't make enough to make even a glove. So it's very hard to make, but they're trying to recreate that now. Another thing is improving agriculture. Agriculture, if you don't know, it has to deal with food production. So as the population increases, food has to increase. And not only that, we want to make food that uses less. We want to develop fertilizers more and larger produce. You want better, again, to go back up with the vaccines, using better vaccines to keep livestock healthy. So we're looking at keeping things very healthy. All right, not only that, you want to preserve the environment. The environment would be like, okay, for example, in eastern Kentucky, they have coal mines, okay? And sometimes those coal mines, they don't want to do underground mining. What they'll do is they'll do mountaintop removal, okay? In mountaintop removal, generally pollutes the groundwater. And one case, in fact, that I know personally is that my in-laws had a really good artesian well real close to a strip mine, and before they began stripping it, when had a mine that did mountaintop removal, removed the mountain, and it heavily polluted their water, and they can't keep it treated well fast enough. It is so hard, so bad that they've had to install a lot of different filtration systems just to make the water even a little bit usable. So there comes a backlash with that. Even if they put all of that stuff back, it's still not the same. Okay, even if they reclaim the land. So one thing that biologists will do is look at the environment to find better ways to even coal mine. I mean, I'm a big believer in being a steward of the land that we're given. So be aware of that. So generally a characteristic is that they're made of one or more cells. Okay, so if you look at the picture below, I do apologize about that. But those cells, there's 3 cells, that is a living organism. So you can have them as single cell like a bacteria, has 1, or you can go to as many as a human, which has trillions of cells. And we'll talk about more about the cells later, but they have 1 or more cells from 1 to trillions. An organization, notice that that even this anteater is organized into certain things. It's got symmetry. It has unique functions. So I've got different cells that have different functions. Some that go into making that are heart muscle that pumps the blood, acts as a pump. Some act as muscles so that the anteater can move around. Others act as growth for hair, skin, protection, eyes so they can see. Some are like your stomach. I mean, just different places that these cells are organized to make the whole thing operate. It grows and develops. It starts as, again, things start as a baby, grows into a adult. Just like this little tadpole here, growing into a large frog. It also reproduces. So whether it is like if it is a cell, a cell splitting, or going into having a baby, or even laying eggs. So we can do those different things for reproduction. It responds to stimuli. Look at the zebra here being chased by a lion. The zebra sees lion. Oh, I'm scared. The zebra reacts. By running away. Don't get me, lion. All right. Now it also living organisms require energy. Goats eating grass. So like in that case there, I have a goat. Let's rewrite that. The goat's eating grass, converts the grass or even if you want to deal with, plants, sunlight, and CO2 to make sugar. And that's where all that starts from. So different ways. It requires energy to grow. Maintains homeostasis, meaning look at this feller here. He gets hot. Body gets hot. One way the body cools itself down is to sweat. So again, try to maintain. The word homeostasis means same. And you say like homeo or homo, that just means the same. Stasis just means state, meaning that it wants to maintain its state. So like the body wants to stay at 98.6. So if it gets too hot, it sweats. So it sweats out water to cool off. Not only that, you got adaptations over time. You look at the flowers, certain colors mean certain things. You can look at look at humans. The ones that went farther north had lighter skin because lighter skin was favored. The ones that stayed around the equator have darker skin there because darker skin is better for the amount of sunlight, the direct sunlight. So it's kind of those adaptations that evolve over time. So it's a change. So you look at like finches. Some of them do better eating larger seeds. Others do better eating smaller seeds, depending on what's there. Okay, so it adapts to the environment. So all creatures that are living will adapt to their environment. Well, I've got an assignment after this, so go ahead and get to your biology book and open the assignment. Have a good day.